Prowl 1701 here, and I'm going to talk a little more about the Star Beast, because there are other things that, one, I simply forgot to mention in my first video, things that have come to my attention since then, and I felt like I just had more to discuss on the topic. One thing, I'm going to start this off positive. I loved when the 14th Doctor pulled the wig out of his coat and put it on like he was acting as the judge, because that is such a wonderful callback to the 4th Doctor that I loved it. That's, of course, a callback to the Stones of Blood, and I really like the Stones of Blood, especially the second half of the Stones of Blood, the stuff that takes place in hyperspace. I'm the oddball out in that I prefer that. Most of the people prefer the stuff on Earth. They don't like the hyperspace stuff, but I'm backwards. I prefer the stuff in hyperspace. And I always love when the 4th Doctor just happens to have the wig in his pocket and puts it on, because of course the 4th Doctor does. It's the 4th Doctor. I love that. So this was a nice little callback to that. It's a nice little Easter egg. It doesn't draw too much attention to it. He just happens to have it and puts it on, and I really loved that. It was a nice nod to Tom Baker. It was a nice nod to fans that if you know, you know. And I enjoyed that. I did not care for the title sequence on first watch. Now, I haven't gone back to rewatch it. I actually did mean to do that before I started this, and I didn't think of it. But just my first impression, I will go back and rewatch it, but my first impression of it, I didn't really care for it. The music sounds too much like the Russell T Davies 1 era music, like it's Murray Gold just kind of taking a victory lap, slightly tweaking his music. It reminded me of that too much. Which, again, they seem like all three of these specials seem like they're trying to recapture the Russell T Davies era. They're trying to pretend it's 2008 again, let's be honest. They really just want to take a victory lap to celebrate that era. Because it is a good era, to be fair. The Russell T Davies era is a good era. The actual intro, I didn't really care for it. It doesn't have the face, which always bugs me. I've talked about that before in videos when I was ranking the intros. I talked about that. I really like when the face is in there. This would have been a great opportunity to finally get an intro with David Tennant where we actually see his face. But I believe Russell himself has said in like Doctor Who Confidential he doesn't really care for the face in intros. So I'm not surprised it isn't back. But I would have liked to have seen it. It looks like kind of a modern update of the Russell T Davies 1 era intro without looking as good. I prefer that one. The Doctor Who logo itself looked fine, although the way it came into frame, the way stuff is coming and going into frame, the TARDIS, the actors' names, looked a little off to me for some reason. I didn't really care for it. Sorry, my sinuses are acting up. The weather's bipolar here in Mississippi. But, I just overall didn't really care for the intro. Maybe it'll grow on me. Again, I meant to rewatch it before I started this. I didn't. Maybe I'll have a better impression of it later. But I didn't really care for it. It's kind of on the lower end of intros for me, just at the moment. Another thing I did not notice, because the sound mixing is so bad, and this has been a problem with Modern Who for a while, like Series 12, Flux, where the music seems to overrun the dialogue. And I sometimes wonder if it's just my TV, but I hear a lot of people making this complaint, that it just seems like, and Classic Who never has a problem. I can watch my collection set still books, they're fine. But for some reason with Modern Who these past few seasons, the music tends to overpower the dialogue, and every now and then I can't tell what's being said. I did not realize on my watch through of it, that bit at the end, when Donna and Rose are letting it go, exactly what was said there, until I saw people talking about it later. And it made me mad, because it's so unnecessary. I'm trying to remember if I heard this right, the bit where they're talking to the Doctor and the light, because you're a male presenting Time Lord, you don't know this. And then they go on this bit about binary and non-binary. It seems like they're trying to make it look like the Doctor having to erase Donna's memories in 2008 might have been so unnecessary. If only he'd approached it like a woman would. Accusing the Doctor of not knowing this because he presents as male, which is never a phrase I like. I don't mind someone saying they identify as male or female, but for some reason just the phrase presents as bothers me. I don't know why, it just does. Just say identify as. For some reason that doesn't bother me. When the doctor himself was just a woman, like literally the episode before this, he was a woman. He's been like a male for like an hour, 2 hours. I mean, I don't really know how much gap is between this and Children in Need. He has had enough time to make another sonic screwdriver, which is probably enough for Big Finish to go, good enough for us. We can get some stories in there. But, I don't know. I mean, the doctor himself was just a woman, but suddenly he's a man again, so we have to take puck shots at him already about being a man again. And the fact that, of course, Rose is special. She's non-binary. And the fact that they could get rid of all of the problems, all of this stuff that if she remembers me, she will die, that they hammered home for us so much, not only in the final episode, Journey's End, but also in this story, that they can just let it go. All you have to do is let it go. First off, the idea that a woman is better at letting something go than a man is laughable to me. Because in my life experiences of over 40 years on the planet, that is not the case. Don't get me wrong, there are plenty of women who are good at letting things go. There are plenty of men who are not good at letting things go. I've had breakups that hit me really hard when I was younger. But it has been my life experience in 40 years on this planet that I think men are better at letting things go than women are. Just in general, not individually, but just in general. That has been what I've seen in life. Everyone's had that girl they've dated that remembers everything you've ever done wrong. Everything. Oh yeah, well I remember that time 13 years ago when you said 13 years ago. How many of you guys have been married for 25 years and she says something from like when you were dating? So this idea that women are better than letting things go is laughable to me. Because my experiences say otherwise. Life-crippling disease? Just let it go. Let it go. Let it go. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It feels like the Davros nonsense all over again. It's so unnecessary. Because I didn't catch that when that scene happened. And that scene didn't bother me at all. It was fine. Which proves to me that it didn't need to be in there. You didn't have to make it that direct at the point you were trying to get across. Because the episode had handled it really well up to that point. I think the diversity and the inclusivity that is in this episode is done very well up to that point. How it handles Rose is done very well. I was really happy with how they did that. How they do the unit advisor in the wheelchair. I think they handled that really well. I still love the wheelchair having the weapons in it. That's such a Third Doctor era thing. I'm convinced the Third Doctor actually traveled through time and built that for her. That's my headcanon. I just love that idea. So to me, that wheelchair with the rockets and stuff is so camp that it harkens back to classic Who, and I love it. I am so there for it. It's one of my favorite things about the episode. Plus the actress, I thought she was good in the role. I hope we get more of her, actually. I'd love to see her come back. I like Science Advisor number 56. But yeah, other than that, right there at that ending, that was so unnecessary. The ending feels Deus Ex Machina anyway. It's kind of just, so how did we resolve the thing with Donna dying? We let it go. What? We let it go. You wouldn't have thought of it. You present as male now. I mean, an hour ago you'd have thought of it. But...
Yes, we know. We know everything. Thanks. And you know nothing. It's a shame you're not a woman anymore. She'd have understood. We've got all that power, but there is a way to get rid of it. Something a male-presenting Time Lord will never understand. Just let it go. And we choose to let it go.
Hey guys, butting in real quick from the main video, just to point out, that scene is literally the most sexist piece of crap I've ever seen on television. That is blatantly sexist. Yes, it is. It seems to get a pass because it's sexist against a man, especially a white man, so that's okay. And that seems to be where we are in 2023. Imagine if this conversation went differently and it was two white dudes poking fun at a trans woman. Like if it was the Doctor and another white dude poking fun at Rose in the story, the outcry there would be. But because it's a white male, it's okay. That's all right. They can sit here and openly mock it. It is blatantly sexist. And it comes to the core of the problem, which is people like Russell T. Davis, who think the way they do, who go on so much about wanting equality from everybody, for everybody. They don't want equality. You know what they want? Their turn. That's what they want. They don't, because for so long, straight white men were here and everyone else was down here in society. It was like that for way too long. But they don't want it to be like this. They want them to be here and straight white men to be down here. They want them to be able to trod down on them and poke fun at them like this scene is doing blatantly. So anytime you hear them preach about equality, it's BS. They don't want equality. They just simply want their turn to run things. It's our turn now. Your time is over. That's how they feel. That's their mentality. And if you say anything against it, you get labeled all sorts of isms and isist. They wrote everybody in together. And that's not to say there aren't blatant sexist assholes who thinks Doctor Who should be 99% white dudes like it was in the 60s. There are people like that out there. They're racist assholes. There are people who think trans people are just not real or abominable or whatever. There's a lot of people who are bad people, like these people say. But the problem is they think that anyone who speaks out against them, they lump all of them into that one sum where you're a toxic and you're an ism and you're an ist. They lump everybody into this one blanket statement, and that's certainly not the case. And most of us just have to sit there and take it because we don't feel like dealing with the nonsense. We don't feel like being called all this. Oh, you don't agree with what I said? You must be an ism. Oh, fuck, here we go again. Not this. Jeez. All right, fine, whatever. Just do whatever you want. And, you get sick of it. You get a headache of it. The fact that we are at a point to where something that is so blatantly sexist, and it is blatantly sexist, like this, can happen on a screen, and you can't say anything about it, or else you get called all sorts of things on the internet, is really sad and really depressing in this day and age, because you can't do it the other way around. And I hate double standards. I hate double standards. I firmly believe that everybody should be here. Everybody should be equal. Everybody. So I just wanted to jump in and comment on that real quick. Come on, Russell. Really? So I did have some issues with that. And of course the sound mixing wasn't good. Murray Gold's music didn't do much for me either here. I don't remember any of it. I tend to like Murray Gold's music. Don't get me wrong. He's done some very memorable pieces, but it just didn't do much for me here, actually. I don't know. I mean, I still enjoyed the episode. Let me be clear. Despite my complaints, I enjoyed the episode. The episode really did feel like a victory lap, though. It did not feel like it was doing anything new or anything innovative. It felt like a victory lap. I mean, even the story itself is a story from old Who, from 1980, with the Fourth Doctor. I think there's a Big Finish audio of it with the Fourth Doctor, too, which I think one of my patrons wants me to review. And he likes the audio better. But I think that's fine, taking something old and bringing it forward like this. I'd never heard of the Star Beast before this was announced, so that clued me into a piece of classic Doctor Who, the comic strip that I never knew about. I enjoyed that. The voice actress who voiced the Meep is great. I really like her. Overall, I still found it enjoyable. It was a nice little spectacle, fitting for the anniversary year, if not fitting for an anniversary special. I kind of agree with what somebody said down in the comments, that Power of the Doctor really feels more like an anniversary special than this does. But at the same time, this is only part 1 of 3 stories, too, so it's really hard to judge it as a whole. It's kind of like seeing the first part of a trilogy. So we'll have to see how the other 2 parts go. But yeah, that bit at the end felt unnecessary, because it almost seemed like it was trying to imply that you had to be a woman or trans to understand letting it go. Which, again, just the idea of a woman being better at letting things go is the most laughable thing I've ever heard in my life. I mean, there are women who can, don't get me wrong. I know women who can. I know men who can't. But as a whole, please. My life experience has taught me otherwise. Also, this may come as a shock to some people, but I'm going to bluntly say this because I'm a blunt person. Being trans does not make you special. Just like being white does not make you special. Being black does not make you special. Being Asian does not make you special. Being Mexican does not make you special. Being Filipino does not make you special. Being a male doesn't make you special. Being a female doesn't make you special. Whether it's how the gender you're born or the gender you identify as, that does not make you special. Your actions, your skills, your talents make you special. You know, you look at these basketball players, you look at Tom Brady, he's special because he's won 7 Super Bowl rings because he's a talented quarterback, and I don't even like the New England Patriots. Lee Binding is special because he creates amazing art. He's not just my favorite Doctor Who artist, he's literally my favorite artist, period. I would rather have a Lee Binding hanging on my wall than I would a Leonardo da Vinci hanging on my wall, monetary value aside. I'm not a big fan of Leonardo da Vinci's art, to be honest, but I love Lee Binding's art. Alice Zhang's art makes her special. People's talents and what they do, you know, John Hurt is special because of his talent. Tom Baker is special because he is such an amazing doctor. Peter Cullen is special because he is the voice of Optimus Prime, in addition to other things like Ironhide. It's people's talents and their actions and their skills that make them special. You know, you're not born special. You know, and being trans, while great, I'm sure coming out is hard. While I admire someone's bravery to embrace who they are, and I recommend that actually, I highly recommend that, but it doesn't make you special. You don't get a free pass because of that. So the notion that someone is better than someone else simply because they identify differently is silly to me. My sinuses are still bothering me. I don't know. Just hearing about that and finding that just kind of really irked me. I still like the episode, but it just bugged me for the main reason that it's totally unnecessary. It doesn't need to be there. With them going on to the whole, you present as a male Time Lord so you won't notice, and the binary, non-binary, it's unnecessary to get the point across, and that should have been written better. But here's the hard truth, and here's the hard truth us classic Doctor Who fans have to accept. This is one thing I think some of us have figured out, some of us haven't. The modern Doctor Who show is not made for us. They know we're going to watch. We're Doctor Who fans. I mean, these are the same people who sell us the Web of Fear 3 times and we buy it. These are the same people who take a story like the Daleks, edit it down, colorize it, and then sell us half a story, and we buy it. They know we're going to watch. We're not the target audience. We're not. We are not the target audience. It's the new generation, the younger people. The reason they created this new version of the Daleks is to appeal to a modern audience. The same thing with the animations. Why would they animate all 4 episodes of The Underwater Menace when half of them exist? Why would you animate half of a story when half of it already exists? It doesn't make sense from a classic Who fan's perspective. We have half of the episodes already. Animate the other 2 in black and white, like with the moon base. We're good. We're not the target audience for that. The moon base, we were the target audience for that, but time has moved forward now. The target audience for The Underwater Menace is, they do it in black and white with the surviving episodes, so they get us, and they will, but they also are very keen that the primary focus is on the new version. Which one did they show at the BFI screening? The color version, all 4 animated episodes, because that's the #1 focus, and that is aimed at the younger people who need it in color, who need it to be consistently animated across all 4 episodes, who need it in 16:9. Me and you, and so many of you watching, we're not the target audience for Doctor Who anymore, because we're going to watch anyway. They know. And don't get me wrong, a lot of the classic fans are leaving in droves. That's why the numbers are down. A lot of us have thrown up our hands and walked away. I'm stubborn and still keep watching because I guess I have hope. And that, in the fact, I don't hate Doctor Who now. Like, I don't think it's just junk. Even the Whittaker era has gems in it that I liked, even though Whittaker herself was pretty bad, let's be honest. But it's very obvious, if you pay attention, that they are marketing toward a wider audience, an audience that doesn't watch Doctor Who, a modern audience who have different sensibilities and different viewing habits. That's why all of these new animations are in color and in 16:9, and they animate the whole thing. even if half the story exists. That's why the new version of the Daleks exists. And that's why this new version of the Star Beast is the way it is. You and I were not the target audience for it. And even one of the guys down in the comments said his daughter loved it. 10 out of 10. She loved it. And that's great. I never want to take that away from anyone. If you love the Star Beast, if you're younger and you love the Star Beast and you're happy to have Tennant back, I am happy for you. Because at the end of the day, my opinion is just my opinion. I'm not one of those people who thinks my opinion is the opinion. Like, my opinion is fact and everyone should agree with me. Because if everyone agreed with me, if only the world was as wonderful and caring as I am, there'd be no problems. You know people like that. There's people on YouTube like that. If just everyone would agree with him, everything would be all right. But I'm not like that. My opinion is just my opinion. You have your opinion's just as valid as my opinion. I am simply going to bluntly state my opinion. And if that pisses people off, hey, there's the door. Go watch one of those other channels. And if you like what I have to say, or if you at least respect what I have to say, because I don't try to come across as being a bully or a prick, or one of these people who tries to shove my opinions in people's faces. I try to very much get my point across in a logical, cool-headed manner. I had several people when I did the 2 Davros videos talking about the Davros problem that complimented me down in the comments because I approached it in a very logical, well-explained, calm manner. And that's what I've tried to do here, despite the fact I have been slightly irritated about some of it. My biggest problem, and it's the same thing with the Davros situation, was just the total unnecessity of it. And it's the same thing here, just how much of that bit at the end where they take puck shots at the patriarchy, at Tennant, it's just unnecessary. It doesn't need to be there. And it gives us a weak ending anyway. Now, I still like this episode. Let me be clear. This doesn't ruin the episode for me. I still like this episode. I stand by this episode. I am grateful to Russell for this episode. It was fun to watch. Unlike some people in the comments, I really enjoyed Tennant's performance. I really enjoyed Catherine Tate's performance. I really loved Jacqueline's performance as Sylvia. She's a hoot. I liked Yasmin's performance as Rose. I thought she was really good as Rose. And again, I think, for the most part, how they handled Rose was really well done. I like diversity and inclusivity when it's handled organically, like it is in most of this episode. It's that little bit of shoving in your face at the end, like Chibnall tend to used to do, that rubs me the wrong way. And again, I don't like the idea of someone being special simply because of the way they look. You know, I don't think gender or ethnicity should ever make you special. I think your talents and your skills make you special, and what you can do make you special, just personally. That's just my thoughts. So I want to know what you think, so comment down below and let me know. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button and the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There's a link to that down in the description below as well. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, and Finn Perkins. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. My P.O. box is down there. YouTube memberships are available. And a link to my Amazon wish list is down there as well. Most importantly, thank you for watching.